Hello everyone. So I'm Philip Ball. I work in the UK Microsoft Azure sales team, and I'm focused on the public sector. What I'm going to do is really set up the partners piece that's coming. So we're really now moving into this 10 minutes on what can you do today with the Azure public cloud services. So we heard a lot about what you can do already, but also looking at that 2 or 3 year outlook from the earlier speakers. This is really about what's going on today. Some real-life case studies, demonstrations and capabilities from 5 of our key Azure partners in the marketplace today delivering in public sector. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit, as the third speaker of the day showing the same sort of chart, right? I want to bring it in a slightly different context here. So you've already seen this taxonomy type chart and this discussion around this. So just as an aid memoir going into the final session and for future reading, if you like, or discussions, I firmly want to emphasize Azure Public Cloud as a platform as a service offering today on which people are building software as a service offerings, right? So I'm distinguishing ourselves from the perceived competition here, right? That we're not offering bare metal services down at the infrastructure level or anything like that right now. We do incorporate some aspects of your ability to manage that, and we will do going forward, but that's not the main driver around Azure today as a public cloud offering. Slightly different view of this architecture chart, again, as an aid memoir. So the easiest way when you're negotiating various white papers, websites, stuff that Microsoft puts out in this area is possibly to think about the various components in this way. So Mark's already discussed the fact that the general purpose programming language environment you might use in your organization, be it .NET or Visual Studio or the other types in terms of Java, Eclipse, whatever, all sit and run quite happily on our cloud platform. I mean, for a point of reference, anything running in Windows Server 2008 R2, in principle, technically, is movable to the Azure public cloud today, right? And similar for the SQL Server stuff. So then we have, supporting this, we have a cloud platform, all right, which contains a cloud operating system, contains a relational database capability, and something that connects everything together. So if I blip out the various points, the thing to remember is that for us it's the Windows Azure platform that provides this support. It's the Azure App Fabric that really connects everything together and helps you to connect to it and provide access control, etc. The Windows Azure operating system contains all of these components that are managed for you. And we have discussed already, I'm pleased to see, something about our data centers worldwide. I'm not allowed to tell you where the data centers are, so I'm pleased that someone's already done that, okay? We are continuing to expand our data centers and support for performance via the content delivery network capability that we also have. There's some 18 data centers around the world delivering that network as well. But full compute storage in terms of blobs and queues and management within Windows Azure supported by Microsoft is what you're buying as platform as a service. And then on the SQL Azure side, relational database capability and the management for that, and they are the real components. So I just want to talk a little bit about demand patterns. Okay, so 4 demand patterns that today I'm seeing in the various shades of public sector and the various types of organizations where people are using this at a high architectural level and getting good ROI, good benefit. So the text on the bottom is probably a little bit small towards the back. Apologies for that. But basically an on-off scenario where you're not running a continuous service with your application today. It may only be a once-a-year service. I'm thinking, things like educational services, people registering for schools and finding out about where school places have been delivered in local regional government. That kind of activity, we don't want to provision lots of in-house infrastructure at high cost and have it empty, or possibly, the management stress of moving applications in a virtual way backwards and forwards to those servers. It might be a great use of cloud capability to go out and use Azure for that. Those services are very successful and they're growing very, very fast. Often I'm finding these are fairly new services, so people deploying new websites in the citizen service area. or possibly the open data area where that's growing fast, to keep up with that rate of change. As Mark has explained earlier, that provisioning in the Azure public cloud is a great way to do that in a cost-effective way. You may have a sort of predictable bursting scenario here where every week or even every evening, every month, you're running something which is giving high peak loads. I mean, we have a great piece of work that we've done. I think probably someone from Transport for London is here, so I'll be maybe a bit careful about interior details, but we have 89 million hits on the service now, which is around journey planning statistics around the whole transport network. And gradually we're building up in major regional authorities around the country similar concepts and similar services based on Azure right now. And there can be times when you get very high, unpredictable burst workloads on the system. And then finally, really, where you've got really huge spikes in the workload. Here, one area in particular that we run on Azure is a kind of risk management solutions that financial institutions run, where there can be fairly modest organizations running on a handful of servers in their office, but burst out to thousands of server capability within the Azure cloud in a short space of time. And that's working particularly well in the Azure cloud today. So coming to the point when I'm just going to introduce the partner session, really. So there are a number of opportunities, I think, that you have with Azure today in the public cloud service that we offer. And clearly some of those are very horizontal and very general. I don't want to spend too much time waffling about that. We all know cloud is about cost consolidation, etc. There is an awful lot of open data requirement out there, need to push that public data into the cloud, and we have an excellent way of doing that through either SQL Azure or through the blob storage, particularly in Windows Azure for flat files. And that there is the ability, and people are doing this today, to get great ROI from moving that on-premise line of business applications to the cloud service. However, it doesn't mean you have to do this wholesale as being described. So the hybrid model and the ability to mix and match between the two is great. And those heavyweight components that can move to this Azure service today, you should think possibly about doing that. One area I'm seeing a lot of interest in is fairly basic stuff. A whole development test environment on-premise, which is a relatively safe thing that can be moved out to a cloud service like Azure. And in principle, instead of provisioning servers which remain partly empty for part of the year, why not start provisioning a dev test environment out into Azure? New applications is the flavour of the rest of the session really today. Our partners have been very innovative in building new web-driven services and capabilities into government and regional government. And they're really around the citizen service area, so things like online help systems, forms-based systems, tracking environmental problems and managing those problems. You're going to hear about all of those. Areas like clinical decision support and health education. So again, great ability to put simple low-cost storage out for lots of educational collateral that people need to use in this area. And then the more recent area, forum and sort of social networks, the ability to deliver those through the cloud, and measuring your own performance and the own cost structure of your own organizations and publishing that kind of data. So we have many more of these to come. We're introducing 5 of the partners today who we work closely with. Just before I put the final chart up, I'd like to introduce a couple of Microsoft people just for spreading the load if you want to grab people later. So Jason Burton down here in the front, put your hand up. Jason is our industry market development manager for the public sector and works very closely with our partners. And Darren Strange, put your hand up at the back, please, Darren. Darren is the partner account manager working with our partners, and they are certainly as Azure competent as I am, so any questions about Azure, you can grab them as well as me. So what we're going to be doing in the next session is a pretty rapid dive through demonstrations and presentations from 5 of our key partners in no particular order on that chart. By the way, that got me out of not knowing what the order was on the day. And they will be showing you practical case studies and real-life customer success stories running on the public service in Azure today. And my final chart really is just to say, the ways I think you could start interacting with us if you're not already doing so, and with our partners. So meet the partners today, They're all here in a group today. Spend time doing that if you can. Take a look at the Azure service on that website there. All right, so there are a huge number of offers that continually roll so fast that I can't keep up with them, that give you major discounts off of using the Azure service if you're MSDN subscribers, etc. And it's worth taking a look at that. You know, you can do some serious test work without spending a penny in principle. And by the way, the website is very much geared up, as I've discovered. I've been in Microsoft in time for the Christmas party in December. And one of the things I've discovered in public sector is that most people don't have credit cards to place in the slot and buy Azure time, right? So it's interesting as a salesman in that area, because we will also, of course, take purchase orders and take orders through the other licensing instruments that you may have with Microsoft. But the key thing is there are significantly discounted offers available to you if you're on the subscriber list. We have a UK team which focuses across all industries, so someone like myself focuses and manages the various industry areas. We have some technical people within that org who've been with Azure since before it was publicly available, so they're very familiar with that. And we have a fair number of Microsoft consultancy people within the UK are ready to come and help you develop proof of concepts and discuss with us. So you can contact me to do that, or Michael that you saw standing up earlier, and we'll make sure you get the right resources to discuss your projects. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to the first partner, which I think is AWS. Yes, got that one right. Thank you for your time today.